Now, do you remember a few months ago when we were very, very excited to tell you about our official breakfast show sponsor? And eventually, I did keep you dangling for quite a long time, I'll be honest. I kept it going, stringing it out. But eventually, we found out that our official breakfast show sponsor was and is Compassion UK. Now, we spoke to their CEO, Justin. It seems like ages ago now. And we wanted to set a time every week where we can chat to Compassion to find out where they are in the world, not just the UK, and to also ask them how we can be praying for them and how we can be supporting them. So, the first victim, guest, is Tim. Good morning, Tim. How are you?
Good morning, Gareth. I'm good, thank you very much. Victim, you didn't tell me that.
Sorry, I meant our first friend of the show from Compassion UK.
That sounds much better. I like that.
Now, I must say, as guests go, you're certainly the most stylish for this time of a morning, and
Well,
you're
thank you very
coming
much.
down so clear. I mean, look at this. You've even got, please tell me that that plant next to you is real and it's not artificial.
Nah, somebody just placed it there. It's
Going,
just for effect.
the thing is, corporate, right, get a plant next to him.
Yeah.
Tim, tell us a bit about your role at Compassion UK.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gareth. Well, we have all kinds of roles in Compassion UK, so that we internally know what each other do and who's responsible for what. I just usually say I'm Tim from Compassion UK, but my official role is head of church development. So I work a lot with churches around the country, larger churches, denominations, and networks of churches. Just trying to build relationship and help those leaders to understand more about what we do and create partnerships that hopefully will last, and make a big difference to many children around the world. So very exciting.
You must do a lot of miles then, because presumably you have to actually go to a lot of these churches around the whole country.
Well, that's very true. I think last week, I did about 800 miles, and yesterday I did about 300 miles. Just visiting with a church over in Kent and just planning some events and activities with them. And so there's a lot of on the road travel and everything, but it's worth it. It's worth it, Gareth, because I love to get into those churches and then just share our passion and our heart for children. I got the best job in the world, I guess. I get to speak up for children who have no voice, who have no opportunity. There's a verse in the Bible, isn't there, that says, defend the cause of the poor and the needy, and speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves. And that's all about justice, I guess. And, those who've got that privilege of being on, I guess, the right side of justice, we have that responsibility to speak up for those who don't. So I get to do this. It's not something I have to do, but I get to do it.
And it's so great to see your genuine passion for it. So there will be people, believe it or not, who don't know what compassion are. They don't know what they do. You did mention children there, so tell us a bit more.
Sure. So Compassion International is an international child development organization. We have been going since 1952. In that time, around 1 million children have gone through our programs. And currently, right now, there are 2.2 million children registered on over 8,000 church projects around 27 developing nations. It's 25, but there's 2 that we've just moved into, that we're just setting up infrastructure and beginning that process of then registering projects and churches and everything. So absolutely amazing. We work over Africa and Asia and Central and South America. And these kids' lives are being changed forever as a result.
Now, I had the joy to meet one of your. Now, I'm so cautious that I get the wording right here because I know it's really important for us and it's important for you as well. So, when a child goes from being a child to being an adult and they've gone through the compassion program, they're called graduates, aren't they?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, they've graduated. They've gone through that whole process. They've achieved. They've done so well, and we're so proud of them. Yeah, graduates.
So when I was at Festival Manchester
Yeah.
and when I was at Big Church Day Out, I actually met a few of your graduates.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I wish I'll have to troll the archives and find the name of this girl. Well, lady now, in fact. And it was a great, great story of her life. And I asked her the question. I've got the audio somewhere. We will play it at some point this week. But I
Mm,
asked her, I said, if it hadn't have been for compassion, how different would your life have been?
mm.
And she said, I'm not sure I would have even have had a life. And it really hit home to me that this is an organization which is, as you say, they're a child development agency. It's not just a case of you look and you feel that they need food. You give
Mm.
them food. You actually develop these individuals. And some of them, in fact, all of them, will say, if we ask them, thank you so much to Compassion UK and thank you to the people who have sponsored us. So I wanted just to share, because you'll have loads of these stories of
Mm.
how children have been developed and they've become graduates. Which are the ones that really, really stick in your heart? And you mentioned to these many churches that you visit.
Sure. Well, most of our graduates still live in the countries that they were born in and went through the compassion program in. It's just that sometimes some, get jobs over here or have married and relocated or whatever. Every one of them would be sending home money. Many of them would be actually sponsoring children through compassion themselves right now. And so we have a great relationship with a number of graduates in this country who want to share their story and help our supporters to understand exactly what they experienced and the difference that the program made to them. And more than the program, the local church. It's always about the local church. Those aren't just 8,000 projects, they're 8,000 churches. We call them frontline church partners. And those graduates would talk about the fact that the staff there, the leaders there, really cared about them. They were like mums and dads to them, and it was a safe place to go. And they were able to go through that program with all the different elements of what we do: education, healthcare, social, emotional, spiritual development, all of those things, fun and laughter, nutritious food, all of these things. And their lives were changed forever because they had now an opportunity maybe to go on to further education or into other work and get out of poverty themselves. And we will meet some of these great people as time goes on. But I'm thinking of Liz right now. She's married to Sam, and they lead a great church here in the UK. Liz is training to be a nurse. She's had children. Her children won't know poverty because she escaped poverty. She crossed the line of poverty, and she's making a difference. They're sponsoring children. They're helping others as well. And I know that her story is very powerful. She lost both her parents to HIV just as a young child, and was just so blessed by the church that got around her and supported her and encouraged her. And so she's doing some incredible things and making a difference in our world today. I think of Richmond Wandera from Uganda, and Richmond is actually right now on our board of Compassion UK. So here's a little boy who was really angry with life and everything. He saw his father murdered. And then, with all that anger and frustration and pain and hurt, in a wonderful way, he was registered onto a compassion program. And the family would say that they danced and sang for 4 days because they felt so blessed that now little Richmond was part of this program that was going to help to change his life. And Richmond now leads the church that was the church that ran and hosted the project. He also runs a pastors network where he's training pastors and evangelists across Uganda. They have a Bible school. He is a real influencer as well. and making a difference in so many different ways. Coordinating relief initiatives, particularly, in these recent months where there's been floods and droughts and all kinds of things happening, being thrown at them. So, and he's helping us. He's giving us insight into how we can do this ministry better from our perspective as well. So, really good, great stories. Lots more to come, Gareth.
I was just about to say, there can't be many organizations where the organization who helped the person's gone on to actually work within the organization. And I think that's really good because, we try our very best to, I suppose, understand what these people are going through. But to have somebody who's been through that actually on your board is a real incredible thing. And there must be so much insight for you all there.
Absolutely. We only know so much, but when you've got that mind and that perspective, helping to show us what is important, we never want to be the kind of organization that dictate to our colleagues in the developing world what they should do. They're best placed to know because they've lived it, they've breathed it, they're part of that culture, they speak that language, they know the people, they've had the experience. And so, if we want to develop a child, the best placed people to do that are those who live in that country and live in that community. So you won't see Westerners, you won't see us over there running the show. It's all about how do we, here in the UK and in other sponsoring nations, how do we empower that country, those people in that country to be able to help themselves and to help the poorest of the poor. And so, we see many graduates working in those offices now as well and becoming project directors and project staff because they want to give back. They want to invest in the next generation. And these kids look up to them. They say, I want to be like them. I want to be like Richmond. I want to be like Liz. Because, that gives them hope as well to be able to get out of poverty for themselves too.
Now, what we're going to do is to take a break and then come back with Tim. Now, I know for a fact that there'll be people listening to this who are already joining with Compassion. They sponsor a child. And if you would like to share your stories with us, then I'd love you to send them through. The WhatsApp number is 0161 511 9555. That's 0161 511 9555. And if you've got any questions for Tim as well, maybe you're thinking, well, can our church get behind this? And would Tim be available? Do you want to meet Tim in person? I mean, who wouldn't? Let's be honest.
We'll be honest.
Telling you how that is possible and how, because Compassion have joined with us and we've joined with them, and we want to just support each other during this campaign that we've got because we really believe in Compassion and the great work that they do. So, in fact, go to their website right now and you can find all the details. You can actually see now it's difficult, but I'm so glad it's there. And it's the photographs of the children that he's sponsoring. And literally, I've tried this before. And me and my wife, we were there just a few days ago looking through the children. And I want to ask you, so I've got to be careful now that I don't ask you too much because there'll be other people on in the next few weeks who are from the certain departments and they'll answer them better. Well, I don't know. Maybe they won't, Tim. But
I'm sure they will.
It can, if you go to the website, compassionuk.org, that's compassionuk.org, then you'll be able to see the children who are currently looking for sponsorship. And maybe there's a name there that sort of just hits home to you and you think, wow, maybe it's a date of birth, maybe it's something, maybe it's a look of a child. Well, compassionuk.org, and we'll be back with Tim in just a moment. Thank you for your messages, by the way. Lots of them coming through. We're joined by Tim Robertson from Compassion UK. And Tim, he'll be joining us most Wednesdays, although he's also lined up other people who work in the organisation. So we're really excited. So Wednesday is going to be Compassion Morning, 8 a.m. every Wednesday. We're going to be talking to members of the team and just getting a real insight as to what the organisation do and how you can help them. Head over to the website, by the way. It is compassionuk.org, compassionuk.org, and on there, in fact, straight away, it says sponsor a child. Click that and you'll be able to find out more, and you'll also be able to see the photographs of the children who need sponsoring, which in a way, you must think this as well, Tim. It can be a bit of an emotional roller coaster, can't it? Because you want to sponsor them all. What you want to do is to sort of do select all and just go, yeah, let's go for it.
Oh my goodness. I can't look at them, Gareth, because, I do want to sponsor them all. And, my family, we've been sponsoring children for many years, and it's just an incredible privilege. But yeah, when I get those child folders through, if I'm taking them to a church to tell their story and to promote them, it's very hard, not to get emotional and not to get attached when I look at their pictures and I read their story and find out a little bit more about them. So yeah, very difficult.
Jez has been in touch and he says, this is so beautiful to hear. My wife and I have been sponsoring 2 children with compassion for several years, but now I want to sponsor more. Such an incredible organization. Well, you can, Jez. You head over to the website, compassionuk.org, and, thank you for sponsoring the 2 children, because we will talk about this more in future weeks. Again, I am very cautious that I don't just let my excitement to inform people talk about everything, and then we haven't got anything to talk about in the next few weeks. But I just want to touch upon this because presumably when you go on the website, you can choose male, female, you can choose age and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, very much so. Children from all over the world, certainly the 25 countries that we're currently working in. So you may have a particular heart for a continent or a country, and that's another connection as well for many people. So, and people connect for all kinds of reasons. And so, yeah, have a little look and find out a little bit more about compassion as well, because we're known that our model of funding is through child sponsorship, one-to-one sponsorship, which really makes things tangible. But alongside that, it's all about the advancement and the development of that child. We want to make sure that the infrastructure around them is helpful to them. So we want to make sure that they've got good sanitation and toilet facilities, water that's going to, obviously be so important to them, and lots of other kind of interventions that are really going to support this. So it's not just about child sponsorship. That is our kind of baseline operation, as it were, but there's so much more, and you can find out all about that on our website.
And I just want to ask about the values, because you're not just doing this for, as they say, the goodness of your health. Well, in fact, it's the goodness of other people's health. But what you're doing it for is the Christian values behind the organization. And you mentioned at the start, 1952 is when the organization started. And ever since then, you've been, I suppose, the foundations of what you do and the values is Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. We would say we've got 3 core values. And number 1, it's Christ-centered. This is all about Jesus. This is all about the heart of God. God is a God of compassion and mercy and justice. And so if you look in your Bible, right the way through Scripture, you see those characteristics of God and displayed in Jesus Christ there in the New Testament, the way he was with people. And over again, Jesus talks about compassion. He had compassion for people. And so it's a good name that we've adopted, as it were. And perhaps we can unpack that name in a later kind of show. But Christ-centered, we want to give children a hope, not just a better quality of life, but a hope in God as well. So Christ-centered, it's also child-focused. This is all about the child. We want them to do well. We want them to become all that God wants them to be. They have got dreams and hopes. They've got ability, They just haven't got the opportunity. And that's what poverty does. It strips away options. It strips away opportunity and possibility. There isn't the capital there, as it were, as it is in our nation, to be able to give people an opportunity to move forward. And so it's all about the child. Anything we can do to lift that child out of poverty, then that's going to make a difference. But it's also it's church-based. So we only work with and through and in the local church. And as I said earlier, Gareth, it's we don't want to be promoting compassion over there in those countries. We're a marketing organization, we're fundraising, we're telling the story over here in the West. But we want to tell the story of the local church, because that's God's plan A. It's through the local church. He wants to bring hope into community. And so what we see is that church has now the resource to be able to bless their community. They're able to build. They're able to transform. See, community transformation. The church will grow and God will get all the glory. And that's the most important thing.
So if anything we've said you'd like to find out more about, or if you'd like to actually go and sponsor a child, or I love this phrase on the website, begin with a child. It's compassionuk.org. Head over there. And it's a significant week, isn't it? Because it's World Food Crisis Week, Tim. So tell us about this and how Compassion are working with that day, that week. What are you doing for it?
Sure. So, if you've been listening to the news, you'll know very much that there's a major food crisis in our world today, a lot of food insecurity. Do you know, tonight, nearly 1 billion people will go to bed hungry. A further 276 million people have been pushed into food insecurity and lack of food because of a number of different factors. We can talk about the war in Ukraine and, the blockages to exporting grain, and so much grain is produced in Ukraine that feeds so many in the developing world. And if that grain's not getting through, then that's going to cause all kinds of problems and situations in those countries. But also the very real thing of climate change as well, and what is happening, extreme weather conditions. Massive droughts in some parts, floods in others, and it causes devastation. It impacts food growth and cultivation. This is having such an impact on so many people's livelihoods and everything. And so many people going hungry today. Many of our listeners this morning will have had maybe something to eat, a slice of toast or some cereal, or drunk a coffee or an orange juice or whatever, and had some breakfast. And that would be a dream for many people today. They may get to eat one meal, and it may not be a substantial meal. But that's the reality, that here in 2022, so many people in our world still face this crisis. And so, that breaks our hearts. We want to do everything that we can to raise awareness. We're praying at Compassion UK as a team, praying for these situations. Some people say, well, what's the good of prayer? Well, it does make a difference. We're crying out to our Father who is in heaven and asking that he would give daily bread or whatever is needed into the lives of the poor. So, please join with us. If you're a praying person, join with us in praying for those affected right now by this food crisis situation. But maybe you could be praying too that the war in Ukraine will be resolved. I'm sure many people are. Pray about issues of climate change and the way that's impacting people as well, but also their long-term, the development that we and other organizations are seeking to bring into those communities by growing food, by producing seeds in order that they can grow their own food, helping people with kind of farming skills, gardening skills, all these kinds of things to help them help themselves in the long term. And so you can also donate. And again, you'll find out details of that on our website as well. So
And that
Big
website,
challenge right now, Gareth.
it certainly is. And that website, for those who don't know, is compassionuk.org. And keep an eye on their socials as well. And in fact, you can listen to Konnect Radio through the Compassion app. You may have noticed that actually when you use it, you've probably downloaded it already. Well, you'll see a link to listen to Konnect Radio through the Compassion app. It is the website. Head over there and find out more. Tim will be with us for, well, a while, really. Every Wednesday, we'll be bringing him or a member of their team and his team on compassionuk.org. Tim, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Well, thank you, Gareth. We really love the relationship and the partnership we've got with Konnect, and we love what you're doing. And we appreciate the opportunity to partner with you and just to be able to continue to tell the story. I want to say a big thank you. If you are, Jez and others out there who are sponsoring a child, thank you so much for what you're doing. You may not think you're doing much, but who knows, you could be producing a community leader, a business leader, a politician, a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, somebody who's going to make a difference to their community and to their nation. And we really, really value your partnership in this great cause. If you are a Compassion supporter, then why not download the app, as Gareth has mentioned, and you'll find that as you put in your details, your child will sync with your record there on the app, and you'll be able to write to the child. You'll be able to give Christmas gifts or family gifts, birthday gifts, find out more about their country. There's lots of exciting things on that app, and we'd encourage you to do that if you have a smartphone. That'd be great. So thank you so much, Gareth.
The pleasure is all ours, and we'll have Tim back next week.